Hello. So I want to share a spread that I explored just the other night with the Magickal Botanical Oracle by Maxine Miller and Christopher Penzak. I finally got some time to go through the guidebook and look at some of the spreads that are here. I don't normally use spreads at all, but since this deck is very unique in the sense that it is working with particular plants and working with magical energy, I wanted to try one of the, there's like 6 or 7 layouts here with this deck. I'm going to show you here in the guidebook. They start from very simple to complex. So we have one here that is called the 3 Fates. We have the Forest Crossroads, which is a 5-card reading. And so basically it starts off with the reading from the past, and then these are the 2 directions based on these 2 cards, the outcome of these 2 cards, and which direction they're facing in will determine the outcome based on the way these cards are crossed. So that's a Forest Crossroads, which is very interesting, deals with the immediate past, present situation, the issue that is crossing, and then the potential future if taken with the first option, which would be 3, or the second option here, which would be, I believe that is 2. So that one's very interesting. This is obviously a Celtic cross reading, but renamed as the Heart of the Garden. Still has the same kind of breakdown of the present, what crosses us, what has influenced us in the past, what lies ahead, so on and so forth. But the one reading that I wanted to start out with was this one. This one's the Faery Star, has 7 cards, and it is in the shape of the 7-pointed star, which written here is associated with the mysteries of the fairy realm. I don't do any fairy or fae magic whatsoever. That's not where my my present direction is with my practice. But what I liked about this particular layout is that it deals with the 7 planets, the classical planets, with the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Venus, so on and so forth, and the days of the week. So this is a good reading to do, like a week ahead reading, to work on the energies that you could focus on for Sunday all the way up to Saturday. And so what I decided to do is to incorporate the days of the week with the planet association. And so I really didn't do the layout like you see here, but I came somewhat close to it. So I'm going to share the outcome that I got from that reading, the Faery Star. Now this one is one that is very, that just opened my eyes when I saw this, because here we have the tree, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life readings, and here we do deal with all the planets, and also the places of the path that these planets go through. But we also focus on the elements, the fiery elements, the water elements, the earth elements, the air elements of these planets. So I'm not gonna do a video of this, but I just want to share with you some of the different ways that you can work with this deck. So I figure let's just start something simple with the Faery Star. And the way this reading is laid out, I'm going to bring back the page here. Okay, So we're basically going in the direction. So as you see here, 1, we go down. So we're basically going, start from the north, northeast, south, yes, southwest, and then we go west, or east, west, northeast, and then southwest. Okay, and that's one way that you can start working with invocations, is you can actually visualize the opening of the pentacle by going from north. I'm going to say again just so I can affirm the direction. We go north, northeast, or southeast. Then we go south, northwest, then east, then west, northeast, and then southwest. So one thing that you can do is to start with this reading is you could call upon the plants that that are in this book, and there's an invocation that you can call in the names. For instance, I call upon the plant spirits of, we could say, thorn apple, oak, rue, bleeding hearts, willow, yew, love lies bleeding, calla lily. You call upon these plant spirits to protect you from harm at any level, so mote it be. There's more of a complex calling that you could bring in for protection and for guidance. One thing that Christopher writes in here is, please awaken and safely open the gates to your magic, to your medicine, to your guidance. I ask that you answer my questions truly and clearly. I ask that you empower my magic. I ask that you open the ways of spirit safely and help us on our path. I ask that this be for the highest, deepest good of all involved. So mote it be. So when you get cards like this, whatever cards come up in a reading when working with this deck, you call upon them. You're opening up the channels and you're asking them for their guidance, for their healing, for their direction, for their protection, from anything that's going on in regards to your question. And then you close the circle, you close the pentacle, and you do it in reverse. So you go from southwest, northeast, west, east, northwest, southeast, and then north. So you just reverse the direction when you're done with this reading, to close the circle and to give guidance or to give blessings and gratitude for the plant spirits. So just with that brief opening there, I want to share with you the cards that I got. So what I did here is, it's not necessary, but what I ended up doing was choosing a focus card. And I just randomly shuffled. And I got the bleeding hearts. Okay, so the bleeding hearts here, we see the symbol element of Mars, the sun, and fire energy. Now, doesn't necessarily mean, you know, I'm not dealing with a broken heart, because this card can be associated with love, endings in relationships, more of the romantic kind. But what this card does is, as the focus for this reading, we can use this card as a means to help us through times that are challenging, or if things are going really good, to really find balance with the energy of what we are surrounding ourselves with. Okay, we can be overly open to things with our heart, and we have to be careful with that, because when we're too open, coming from the heart, overly gracious, that can leave room for vulnerability, for some negative energy to maybe come and cross. So we want to find that balance during anything that is going on at this time. So this reading that I did here is just a general reading for the week ahead, but with the guidance of the bleeding hearts. Okay, so the bleeding hearts, I'm going to show here, this is the inset. There we go. Okay, so basically, most of this deck is in black and white, so we don't get the color description of what these plants actually look like, but they basically have red drops, red flowers that look like drops of blood. So this card here with the bleeding hearts is one that is of release, letting go of any emotions, any pain that could be holding us back, and putting everything into a clear perspective. But it's coming from a place of grace and healing. Okay, so the first card I got here, this again is our focus. First card I got here, this represents Sunday, which will be for me today, by the time this reading shows up, Sunday, February 19th. And I got thorn apple. And there's a lot going on in this card here. We see Venus, we see Saturn, Jupiter, we see water, but also thorn apple is seen as a toxic, poisonous element. So when going through the cards, anything that comes with the skull and crossbones in this deck is the sign that it is poisonous, it is toxic. You got to watch the way you handle any of these plants or flowers, because the toxins can come from the leaves. There could be some oils or hairs that have something built in that when you touch it, it could irritate the skin. But with thorn apple, I'll bring this back up here again. Thorn apple is, for me, for Saturday or for Sunday. Sunday is usually the start of my week. Is about protection, beauty, and within that time frame of Sunday being a solar energy, it's finding the beauty in things. Okay, and we also have the pod. Let me see here of the thorn apple. Move it up here closer. There we go. That when it gets broken open, wind carries these pods, or it carries these seeds around, and it goes in the air. It lands in water, and it gets transferred in that sense, and it spreads that energy outward. And there we have the butterflies. We have transformation. We're seeing growth. And this is also one of the dream state too for thorn apple. We're seeing this energy of working through things, but in the dream realm, which the other card that is featured in this deck is Poppy, and Poppy deals with the dream realm, psychic energy, so on and so forth. But you want to take this card very lightly. It's a beautiful looking plant, but it can also be deceiving. And so for this falling on a Sunday, I mentioned that it deals with dreams, our sleep state, how we can heal and answer things through through our dreams, and paying attention to any messages that come out during that time. And so lately, with a lot that's been happening on my side, I've been having some very interesting dreams. The other night I had one that was a little disturbing, and so I remember bits and pieces of it. And I think when you have a dream that is disturbing, and the energy that's in that dream can be a little bit more on the aggressive side, it's a form of release. It's something very natural, and I'm grateful that we have dreams, because I think if any of us were to fulfill any of the most craziest dreams that we have, there would be a lot of messed up situations happening outside in the world, coming from people who are just living out these dreams, but putting it into the physical realm. So we have to learn that when we dream about certain things, we have to keep it in that place so that we can spend time and work with it. So this is for Sunday, the thorn apple. So this will be a day for me to work and pay attention to any dreams, anything that may come into my deepest psyche. We're also in Pisces now, and Pisces is the subconscious. So don't be surprised, anyone who is a Piscean, happy birthday to all the Pisces. Regardless if your sun, moon, or rising, just kind of pay attention at this time. We're also at the time that I'm recording this, we're in our new moon of Pisces. So we're going to be looking at a lot of revelations coming up in a subconscious manner. Okay, so I want to move along. I don't want to spend too much time on each of these cards. So here's our first card for Sunday. Our second card, remember, we're doing the pentacle. We go down. This is Monday. So here we have you. So we're going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this card's just the center. This is what everything these cards are influencing for this particular card of the bleeding hearts, for the healing, different ways of approaching dealing with various levels of joy or emotional distress, how to work through that. Okay, so we're here, thorn apple 2, you. Okay, so again, this is for Monday. Okay, this is going to be kind of hard to read, but there's a lot of detail here. So you is, we see here the triple moon, and then we also see Venus and Mars. We see the infinity symbol. We also see Saturn, and again we have another card here that's coming up with the skull and crossbones. It's a very powerful card. It holds energy in its plant that is toxic, and whenever we work with especially plants, herbs, essential oils, you know, heed the calling to these symbols here, because there is a toxicity that can go into the skin. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a card that can cause harm, that you can use a card like this to throw negative energy to. I like to use the toxic poison, the toxic nature of some of these cards that are marked like this as a means of protection. Because if anyone does come close or crosses that boundary, they have to deal with the energy of these plants that hold that kind of energy. So with you is found in cemeteries, I think primarily in England. It's a beautiful tree. It almost looks similar to like pine needles, but a little bit softer and shorter. And some of them have red fruit, berry-like berries, I guess, hanging from them. Now, the toxicity isn't in the fruit, but it actually comes from what's inside the you. So like if you break the you, whatever substance comes out, that's the toxic part of it. And so you holds special meaning in the sense that, because it's found in cemeteries, it's in a way protecting the spirits. Anyone who comes into the cemetery and crosses you and may brush against that tree or get any of the toxicity element on them could get very ill or pass away. So there's that protective nature of you that I feel very strongly with. You is of regeneration, rebuilding strength, and just coming like from a time of where you've been more insightful with things, doing some soul searching. This is a card that reveals, that brings out that confidence after a time of being within yourself, doing the soul searching. For you, another strong aspect of this is ancestral work. This card is associated with Hecate or Hecate and or Hecate, and this is something that has us has us reminding us of the strength and power of the unknown, what we don't see, and how we should be respectful of energies that we're not familiar with, and to pay attention to what it holds. So for Monday, this is actually a very good card because it is dealing with the elements of earth, water, and fire. Fire being the toxicity, earth being where this tree comes from, and then the water aspect is the intuitiveness, it's the emotional connection, it's the part of us that we connect with the most, our spirit. And this card can be used for connecting with spirits from the other realm if you want to move in that direction. But I will use this card for Monday, and I'll put each of these cards up for each day of the week. I will use this for energy of protection, and also to be more focused and more disciplined in the way that I approach anything on that day, on Monday. And Monday's ruled by the moon, so we have the emotions. So this is a day that I feel is something that you could be more of learning, learning what we've come across in our practice, in our journey, and how we can work with it, and how it helps and guides us. It gives us the foundation that we need. There's affirmations that are written for each of these cards. The affirmation that it's set with this card is, I listen to the voices of the past to create the future. So again, listen to what's been built up. What have we been learning inside? And what we can take and where we can place that energy. We have to learn what to work with something that is new, something that has been manifested and it's starting to grow, and we need to shape it. And it's a form. You is also a reminder of moving forward, learning what we have in the past, bringing it to our present state, working with it, developing it, and where are we going to take it in the future. Okay, So we got Sunday, thorn apple. Monday, you. Tuesday, we got willow. So we're like here, 1, 2, 3. Willow. Okay. Salix Abba. This is actually a card that has come up a few times for me when just pulling a few cards throughout the week. Willow has come up probably about 2 or 3 times. This is a card of also dealing with ancestral work, but one that is more of listening. We have a shadowy figure leaning against the willow tree here as a means of support. And then we have the urn here as a reminder of those who have passed on, those who have influenced us, and how their guidance can actually heal us. So for Tuesday, this is actually a card of opposing energy, because Tuesday is ruled by Mars. So Tuesday is a day that we do work. Tuesday is the day that we get things actively moving in the external realm. But here, Tuesday, we can take this as a time of just reflectiveness, slowing things down. We're still being active, but we're taking this energy and we're putting it in a way that we need to be a little bit more open and a little bit more flexible. The willow tree has all this weight of its branches, and it's a very bendable tree if you've seen willow. And so it's learning from these actions. Be open. Don't be so hard. Go with the moment, go with the flow with things. But be open and honest at the same time with this. This relates to the bleeding hearts, because we want to heal, we want to release. It's going to be, there will be some pain and trauma, but we have to learn how to work from it. Okay, so the willow is a softer card. It's that moment of taking action, but working with a situation that is at hand, and not being so steadfast and set in a particular manner. Okay, so this is here for Tuesday. Now we're going to go to Wednesday. 1, down, west, east, rue. Okay, so the east represents the dawning of the day. And this falls on Wednesday. And this is, Wednesday represents communication. Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. We have the sun here for Sunday. Monday we have the moon energy. Tuesday, Mars energy, but we're doing work, but we're doing it more in a softer manner. Rue is a herb that is of healing. We have here the elements of Mars, the sun, fire. This looks like it could be Sagittarius. And we also have an amulet that I had never heard of until I read this, read the guidebook, and it's called, I think I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, I'll do my best, Cimaruta. C-I-M-A-R-U-T-A, Cimaruta. And this is used in Italian folk magic. This is what we're seeing here. These are charms of protection. We have the sword. We have the snake, which is right here in the shape of the moon. It's hugging the moon. We have the key. And then we have a vervain flower. These are all forms of protection, and these are amulets. These are blessing and protective symbols that are worn by people who do magic and and witchcraft work for enhancing their practice and to guide them where they need to best be guided to. So there's actually, oh, and also there's the rooster right here. You can see right there, there's our rooster. So this here is all about protection. We're looking at Wednesday for communication. So Ru is one of light and fire. This is primarily, it's called the herb of grace. And it protects us from any curses, any hexes, any negative energy that may be placed upon you or directed towards you. It shields us. I like how Christopher wrote here in the book, Ru shields us with this grace and can bring blessings upon us in our household. This is almost like a softer version of the evil eye. Okay, it has strong protective elements in it, but you know, when you see the evil eye, it's this eye. It's very direct, and it's a very powerful symbol. Here, the power is in all these tools, but it's softened with this herb of Ru. And Ru is, I believe, silvery gray. I think it has soft hairs on it. I think I've seen this plant before, or this herb, and it's quite lovely. So I think I feel the whole aspect of Ru, the way its energy is shaped to soften these very strong elements, works very nicely. It gives you protection, but more in a softer way. So I feel this energy with willow and Ru, the softness of healing and moving forward, works very well, but you still have this protectiveness that's happening at the same time. So this here's for Wednesday, so with Mercury. So when it deals with communication, I think this comes in very nicely, because if you are dealing with business or just communicating with people in general, we don't know who we're going to come across, right? We may come across a situation or an individual who may not have a keen perspective on things, and it may come across as something a little bit more in the negative way. Ru, the Samaruta here, helps us, it protects us from that kind of energy, from maybe hurting us or dissuading us in any way. Okay, so we've already gone on the four corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to go down to 5, which is Thursday. This is the calla lily. Thursdays are ruled by Jupiter. Now, calla lily here, and Thursday, Jupiter deals with expansion, it deals with luck, it deals with various forms of abundance. But this card here, I giggle a little bit, is a very strong sexual energy card. And so for Thursday, I'm not going to really elaborate on that very, very much, but Thursday can be this time of confidence. The calla lily is a beautiful flower. It has a very feminine design to it. And so it does come across, and it does imply some form of sexual nature. But for me, I feel this is more of the desire that we see here can come in a sense of where we feel this inner excitement of our practice and what's been developing, and we're connecting with it in such a way. It's a form of empowerment. So if you want to work with that energy, Thursday could be that day with expansion and feeling that self-confidence calla lily. We can use this spirit guide to help us with that energy, to bring up the strength and the self-empowerment into our practice. We're raising it up another level. Okay, for those who practice sex magic or anything like that, this card would be one that would, on Thursday is the day to do to do the work that you need to do. It's a very powerful card in that sense and that influence. And here is the calla lily, if you haven't seen it, so you can see where it is anatomically very feminine influenced. And also here I like where we have the book. So we're aligning our sensuality, sexuality with a higher sense of ourselves. Okay. I can go on with this, but I don't want to because I have all these other cards here. So Thursday for me, I can use this card as a means of building up empowerment when it comes to my practice. So calla lily is part of one's sexual nature, sensuality, that confidence, but you can actually use that energy of confidence and put it into your practice to expand the spiritual realm of where you are. So that's for Thursday. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're now Friday. Okay, Friday we have here is the oak. And actually this is a very interesting card because we're going from feminine energy here to masculine energy. We have here Jupiter, the sun, and we also have air. And let's see here, I think this is air and earth for the oak card. So with oak, we have, this is actually the season that we're in. This is air with the cross, the line going across, and then earth faces down with the line going across. Oak is of strength, it is of wisdom. In many areas outside of the city, we could see various forms of oak trees. And so we use this card for strength, for knowledge, for wisdom. It's a waxing time of the year with oak, which is where we are right now because we came out of the holly season. The holly season is from Lunisod all the way down to Yule, and that's when the seasons start waning, from August to our winter solstice, and then from our winter solstice to Lunisod we are waxing, and we're working with this energy of the oak. So it's very strong. This again is a very nice collaborative transition from Thursday's energy of self-empowerment with the calla lily and confidence to the oak, where we deal with a foundation. We're dealing with energy that is growing and teaches us how to be strong, how to be solid in our actions and in our thoughts. Quite opposite from the willow. Okay, remember the willow, we're bending, we're moving with things, and that's something that we need to do. We have to have flexibility, and that's part of the process of growing. We shape shift and we experience things as these changes happen. And then when we get to the oak, for here on Friday, when we get to the oak, we see the steadfastness, we see the growth, we see this the stability that builds up. Now this, I said, is on a Friday. Friday is ruled by Venus. So Venus is dealing with the the emotions, love, beauty, how we feel about things. And I think with the Oak King here, the Oak looks for accomplishments, but accomplishments more dealing with the self. Okay, that Venusian energy of comfort. We want to find things that make us feel good on this particular day, and in doing so, it doesn't want to deal with any challenges, which is hard for the Oak King, because the Oak King likes that. The Oak King is just that. This is energy. This is a guiding force that wants to build this stability, connects the realms of the higher cosmos with the earth. And so we want to find that foundation and that amalgamation of heaven, cosmic energy, and earth energy. So this is of strength and well-being. So for this card of Friday, this is a further extension of the bleeding hearts. We want to start seeing a change. We want to start seeing a movement happening from working with this card of focus. We have these two cards of the thorn apple and the yew for protection. Working and calling upon ancestors. These could be ancestors that we connect with at the human level, but also animals. Okay, some people don't really consider bringing animal ancestry, into their practice. Animals are wonderful and very powerful guides that we could bring in. So for Friday, the oak is feeling the strength. We're starting to feel this building up of energy from where we started on Sunday. We're starting to feel things manifest. Friday's this day of feeling the confidence that we've been developing from the day before on Thursday, and feeling comfortable with it and feeling secure. Okay, so that's Friday. There we go. And then we come here to Saturday. Okay. So this is, the Latin name is Amaranthus caudatus. Amaranthus caudatus. And here we see Mars, Saturn, and Earth energy. And Love Lies Bleeding has these flowers. They're long flowers, almost lilac-like, that hangs from the very ends. I looked at photos of this, and it's quite a beautiful flower. It is not of the toxic realm, but with Love Lies Bleeding, okay, Saturday is ruled by Saturn. So we do have the Saturn and Mars element here. And with Love Lies Bleeding, we are looking at things of the emotional nature, things of putting all of this together, putting any pain. Again, this is almost going back to the bleeding hearts here, where we're looking back and seeing the energy that we've been trying to work with and to heal from and to grow from. How the healing, how the journey of the 7 days, how have we been feeling from the time that we've started? Do we feel that we may have faltered and maybe we didn't fully take in and respected these energies. We have to be very, very mindful of that, how we work with these plant spirits. We need to ask ourselves, come Saturday, again, ruled by Saturn, how has the process of the grief, the pain, the loss that we may have been feeling, whether it's someone or something that we've experienced, human or inanimate, something that may have been taken away from us, how are we feeling about it? Did we let go? Did we move on from that? Okay, this is all about release. So as we've gone full circle, Love Lies Bleeding asks us, are we still holding on to that? Have we done the work? Are we still feeling isolated? Are we feeling like we're still missing something? And if so, we got to pull more cards. We need to continue on into the next 7 days and see what's missing. If you feel like there has been some steps that weren't completed, or you don't feel like you've made any movement or partial movement during this journey, we need to ask ourselves what has been missed here. So this reading here is all about moving ahead and learning to let go of any issue that has been holding us back. And with the guidance of these plant spirits, with these cards that I picked and was called to work with, this is how my week will be guided. So just in hindsight, there's going to be a lot of protection. I feel like, especially with the yew and the thorn apple, I have to be mindful of the energy that I'm around and make sure that it does not do any harm towards me, and to let it go. Continue moving, be flexible, work with the energies, but also take that time to reflect, but keep moving forward. When it comes to any form of healing, the one thing that one should never do is just to reflect and just to reflect and just to reflect, but not really do anything. And again, as I mentioned, we're now in the month of Pisces. That's something that is very easy to have happen, because we are dealing with subconscious energy. We're going deep into the realms of things that are starting to stir up, and we may get caught up with some of the feelings, some of the imagery, some of the influences that we're coming across. So any questions that you have about this deck, the Magickal Botanical Oracle, is a very unique deck for me. There are many decks out there that deal with botanical plants, flowers, herbs, and I've come across them online, but this deck in particular goes more into the underlying aspects, the magical side of these plants, and how to really understand the energies of each of these plants. I did an interview with Maxine where she discusses some of the influences that she has experienced, either directly or just by her research with these plants. And it was part of the process of how these plants got selected to be specifically in this deck. So there are hundreds upon hundreds of different kinds of botanicals out there to work with your practice. But in particular, these are the ones that stood out in this deck and became the deck what it is to work with. So I highly encourage to take a look if you want to take your practice in a different direction or explore different aspects of it and bring in hedge witch practices of working with herbs and flowers and their spirits. This deck I think will be very much of use and of guidance for those who want to deepen their practice. And also the fact that it was written by Christopher Penczak and Maxine Miller, just a wonderful collaboration. This deck and the way the book is written is wonderful. So that's the reading. So again, this is the Faery Star. Okay, and again, this is what you can use for the days of the week, Sunday through Saturday, and or incorporate the energies of the planets, the Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, to assign or to align with each of those days' correspondences. All right, so any questions, comments, of course, feel free to leave them below. So those are my thoughts for this reading up ahead, just for the next 7 days. And I'll see how this week turns out. It'll be very interesting. Thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate your patience as I kind of take little breaks here and there from producing content. But I am slowly coming back. I have lots of things, lots of ideas, I should say. It's just a matter of putting everything together. So I will be back soon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me through my website or leave comments down below. Have a wonderful month of Pisces, everyone, and I will be back very soon. Thank you for watching.